I'm not going to change my personality. Ain't nobody, they can't fire me. I make too much money to get fired. So they can't fire me.
I can tell you, I also spoke to co-chairman of Disney, the boss, Jimmy Pitaro, who made it very, very clear we are taking this matter very seriously.
Barkley has reportedly agreed to a 10-year deal with TNT that's estimated to be worth over $100 million.
Charles Barkley just flipped the whole script at ESPN, and Shannon Sharpe? He's definitely not staying silent. Chuck locked in a jaw-dropping $210 million deal, and now he's moving like the shot caller he is. No extra appearances, no jumping through hoops, and he's out here daring ESPN to test him. Meanwhile, Shannon's stuck on the sidelines, iced out after getting dropped in the middle of a scandal that's still echoing all over the place. And Shannon, he's fired up. He's throwing shade at the double standard, asking why Barkley gets a golden pass while he's drowning in lawsuits, tied up in morality clauses, and watching his boss hover over every move. Barkley, on the other hand, is out here living free with no strings attached. It's like Chuck's looking him dead in the eye and flexing. This is what power looks like. So now the question's on the table. How's Chuck walking clean while Shannon's locked out? Let's get into it. Barkley pulled up to Outkicks Don't At Me with Dan Dakich and let it all fly. He said straight up, he's not going to talk about the Lakers just to make the network happy. His vibe, if they want his voice, they better be ready for his truth.
Different radio national shows, and I said I don't want to talk about LeBron James every freaking day, or Brett Favre, or Aaron Rodgers, or all the bullshit you got to talk about. I don't want to do that every day. Now you're going to ESPN, and you've been critical of ESPN, particularly their coverage of the Lakers. What are your thoughts as this is your last season heading over?
Yeah, Dan, I'm not going to change. I'm going to do what I want to do. Nobody's going to tell me what to say or what to do. I thought I get upset. They're like the Lakers are contenders. I'm like, no, they're not. No, they're not contenders. You know, Kendrick Perkins, who don't know his ass from a hole in the wall. He's like, the Lakers are contenders. The Lakers are contenders, and I said, they're not contenders.
Most folks in his shoes would play it safe, play the game and say whatever keeps the check coming, but not Barkley. He knows ESPN needs him more than he needs them, and he's cashing in on that leverage big time. If anyone's running this show, it's Chuck, and he's loving every second of it, and he even spelled it out for them. Ain't nobody, they can't fire me. I make too much money to get fired, so they can't fire me. First of all, if they fire me, they got to pay me for 7 years, and I'm gonna quit way before then. But if they wanna fire me, I would love for them to do that. And then he hit him with the knockout line. The only decision we've been making is how long I'm going to work. Now that's a power move. I'm not worried about getting fired, and nobody at ESPN is going to tell me what to say or do, period. That's Charles Barkley talking big, and he's got every reason to. Back in 2022, he signed a massive 10-year, $210 million contract to stay the face of the top basketball pregame and postgame show out there.
Barkley has reportedly agreed to a 10-year deal with TNT that's estimated to be worth over $100 million. Let's be honest, Barkley is arguably one of the most popular sports studio analysts out there, and he's in a landscape where salaries for sportscasters have just changed dramatically over the years. And if TNT were to let him go, it'd just be terrible. Just terrible.
And here's the kicker. When deals like that are signed, the money's guaranteed. So firing Chuck just because he plays by his own rules, not even an option. If ESPN tried, they'd still have to cough up that full $210 million. And to make it even messier, Chuck's not trying to grind it out on TV until he's in his 70s. He's made it clear. He's ready to bounce when he decides, not when someone pushes him out.
For me personally, I wanted you guys to hear from me because I'm not doing any more interviews. Don't y'all be calling me. Nobody calling me. I'm not talking about this again, but I want to tell my NBA and NBA TV and TNT family that I'm not going to another network, but I'm going to pass the baton to either Jamal Crawford or Vince Carter or you, Steve. But next year, I'm going to just retire after 25 years, and I just want to say thank you.
While others at ESPN, like Stephen A. Smith and even Shannon Sharpe, are still chasing the grind, Chuck's looking to hang it up. Those other guys want new deals lined up once their contracts end, so they can't afford to ruffle feathers or shake things up too hard. Earlier this year on NBA TV, Barkley shocked everyone when he flat out said, "I ain't going nowhere other than TNT, but I have made the decision myself that no matter what happens, next year's going to be my last year on television." And he wasn't bluffing to get a better offer. Chuck said he's already had talks with other networks and has zero interest in signing with anyone else.
You know, there's been a lot of noise around our network the last few months. And I just want to say, I've talked to all the other networks, but I ain't going nowhere.
So guess what? He's got nothing to lose, and that makes him unstoppable in this whole situation. When he showed up on Outkick again recently, his attitude hadn't changed one bit. He's standing firm, and no one at ESPN can touch him. Chuck said he's already been talking with the network about how long he's really planning to stick around. Sure, there's technically 7 years left on that massive contract, but let's be real. He's not planning to see it through. He made it crystal clear he's not about to drag himself through the full stretch just because it's on paper.
The only decision we've been making is how long I'm on work. And I've been going back and forth with TNT for the last 2 months, whether I'm gonna work 2 years or 3 years. But if I really wanted to, I could stay for 7 years, which there's no chance of that happening. Zero.
And here's the wild part. If ESPN tries to fire him during that time, they still gotta cut the full check. That's $210 million straight to Barkley's pockets. Add that to the pile of headaches the execs are already dealing with. Now here's where it gets spicy. Chuck's not trying to hop on any other ESPN shows like Get Up, First Take, or SportsCenter once he makes the move. Even though ESPN is licensing inside the NBA next season, thanks to TNT losing its NBA rights, they're expecting to squeeze every dollar out of Chuck by shoving him onto every screen they can. But he's not having it. He's been straight up. He doesn't want to do extra work. And to make things even tenser, he's not thrilled about sharing the spotlight with Stephen A. Smith or Kendrick Perkins. Chuck even took a savage swipe at Perkins, saying he can't tell the difference between a hole in the wall and his own booty hole. Yeah, he really said that. So the chances of those two sitting side by side, close to zero. Right now, Chuck's a whole handful for ESPN. He's doing things his way, making the rules, and they still can't touch him. And if there's anyone stewing over all this, it's Shannon Sharpe. Remember, this is the same network that cut ties with him over a legal mess. So of course, Shannon's feeling the heat. Word going around is that Shannon's even had a few things to say behind the scenes about Chuck, but before he goes full drama mode, he might need to face the facts. He and Barkley aren't playing the same game. For starters, Chuck's got way more pull. According to the New York Times, ESPN might be throwing Shannon a solid $6.5 million a year just to go back and forth with Stephen A. But that still doesn't put him in Barkley's league. Stephen A. might be cool with Shannon Sharpe showing up twice a week on First Take, but let's be honest, Shannon wasn't important enough for ESPN to stick by him during a messy public civil case involving a young woman barely past the legal drinking age. And this isn't just about star power, it's about how Disney does business. See, when Disney brings in talent, they always come with the fine print, the infamous morality clause. This little contract trap lets them cut ties fast if someone's behavior even might make the brand look bad. Words like public disrepute, humiliation, and scandal are purposely vague so they can fire folks without blinking. Shannon wasn't fired on a whim. They had all the cover they needed. And to be real, Shannon did fumble hard. He's 56 years old and got caught up with a 19-year-old. That's a serious PR nightmare, especially for a family-friendly empire like Disney. With all the years he spent in the spotlight, you'd think someone on his team would have said, "Yo, get a contract, an NDA, something." Especially after that Instagram slip-up last year, where the whole internet got a peek inside his bedroom. But no, he didn't play it smart. And Disney, they don't let things slide like that. They cleaned house, and from how it looks, they didn't just cut him loose. They erased him. One insider says Shannon might already be banned from the network for good. Another source claimed there are whispers that Shannon Sharpe's ESPN career is officially dead. That's how it goes in this game. Disney doesn't do scandal. And if your mess spills into the spotlight, you're gone. Meanwhile, Barkley's still out here breaking rules and stacking millions, while Shannon's watching the door close behind him. I tapped in with a source close to the ESPN production crew, and they told me Shannon Sharpe is still locked in for First Take on Mondays and Tuesdays. Any other days he's off, that's just part of the schedule, not a suspension or anything wild. but don't get it twisted. The heat around Shannon is very real. Even Stephen A. Smith confirmed he had a sit-down with Disney's CEO, who's been treating the scandal like a top-level crisis.
I can tell you, I also spoke as co-chairman of Disney, the boss, Jimmy Pitaro, who made it very, very clear we are taking this matter very seriously, and we are looking into this very, very closely.
Now, Shannon might feel some type of way about how the network's handling things, but let's be real, he wasn't exactly the most liked guy behind the scenes. Word is, he was accused of choking a female production assistant back when he was over at Fox Sports. That was before the $50 million civil case came crashing down on him, according to someone with direct knowledge of the situation. The alleged incident happened while he was co-hosting Undisputed between 2016 and 2023. And shockingly, he didn't get fired. Instead, Shannon and Fox reportedly settled the whole thing behind closed doors for several $100,000. A rep for Shannon tried to shut it all down, claiming there was no incident of choking involving Shannon on the FS1 set. There was one occasion where he and a few colleagues had some light physical interaction in a playful context. Fox Sports apparently agreed to keep it quiet and deal with it privately. But fans aren't buying it. Most people know reps are paid to clean up the mess, not tell the full truth. And let's be honest, it's wild that Fox didn't cut ties right then and there. That's just how the game works. Powerful people get protected until they don't. Honestly, Disney and ESPN could have chosen to ride it out with Shannon, but keeping him on would have sparked a whole storm. Even former SportsCenter anchor Sage Steele had a lot to say about how the network handled it before Shannon finally stepped back. This saga's messy, and it's far from over! Sage Steele didn't hold back. She jumped on X to vent about the system being straight up broken. She posted that there's a long track record of ESPN and Disney treating conservative opinions like a bigger crime than actual shady behavior. She was reacting to a tweet that pointed out how the network cuts ties with women over political views, while someone like Shannon, who's had multiple questionable run-ins involving women, gets a pass for way too long. Just putting that out there. Then former ESPN host Ashley Brewer-Kaminsky backed her up, saying, "Never forget when I got chewed out by my boss for posting a pic of a Republican congressman and UFC fighter on my Instagram story at the McGregor fight. LOL FYI. Yep, Disney's got strict rules when it comes to politics on the clock. And Steele, she got suspended just for speaking out against the company's COVID vaccine policy. When you stack that next to Shannon's drama, it's wild. Compared to what he's been caught up in, Sage's so-called offense looks like nothing. That's why keeping Shannon around would have opened the floodgates. Disney would have had ex-employees lining up with lawsuits, calling out double standards and wrongful terminations left and right. So really, Disney and ESPN had no choice but to cut ties with Shannon. But Barkley, that's a different story. Yeah, Chuck's giving the execs headaches by talking about retiring early and not following orders, but he's not dragging legal mess or scandals into the building. Compared to Shannon, Barkley looks squeaky clean. That's why ESPN sees him as valuable while Shannon was expendable. Even Stephen A. Smith, who went out of his way to support Shannon, wasn't shocked when the axe finally fell. He said, when the news came down that he and ESPN had mutually agreed that he would need to come off the airwaves of ESPN, it was a blow. A blow to the show, a blow to me personally, because I'm going to miss him. But it was not a surprise. In other words, even the folks closest to him saw it coming. He was working under the Disney empire. Trust me, I've been around Disney since way back in October 2003. I know how this machine moves. ESPN, the so-called worldwide leader in sports, it's a place where rules bend, but only for the chosen few. And right now, Charles Barkley's the one making the rules. He's doing things his way, and the higher-ups are just letting it happen. Shannon Sharpe, he can stay mad, but let's keep it real. He's got some cleanup to do on his own end before throwing shade at anyone else. He didn't just wake up and get dropped. This came after a series of choices that finally caught up to him. Before he tries to clap back or do something reckless, maybe it's time he looked in the mirror and took a hard look at how he got here. Because at this point, he's only reaping what he sowed, but now it's your turn. What do you think? Is Shannon justified in feeling some type of way? Or is he just playing the victim while Chuck cashes in and calls the shots? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We want to hear all of it. And don't forget, if you're loving the tea, hit that like button share this with someone who needs to hear it, and of course, subscribe so you never miss the next chapter of the drama. Thanks for riding with us. See you on the next one.